G'day everybody, welcome back to Between the Posts. It's been a massive week of football. This is the intro brought to you by 9 News. My name is Lachie Gould. I'm joined by Jack Banwell, the wizard himself. How are you, Jack?
Excellent, mate. Sensational round of footy just wrapped up in round 7 in the Adelaide Footy League.
Well, tell us what we've got on the show this week, Jack.
We've got the Division 1 men's report and Beck's just joined us to give us the women's report. We've also got what caught our eye.
Of course, we've got the Farmers League Coach of the Week and the Division 5 report, as well as Marks of the Week, Goals of the Week, and of course the last word. It's going to be a massive, massive show on Between the Posts, and we'll see you on the other side of this ad break. G'day everybody and welcome to the BTR Excavation Division 1 review for round 7. We're heading into the June break. We've got a massive round of football to dissect. My name is Lachie Gould. I'm joined by the wizard himself, Jack Banwell. How are we?
Cheers, Lachie. Pleasure to be here, mate. And round 7 was a really epic round of footy.
It always is in the Adelaide Footy League. I don't quite know how we managed to pull it off each and every week, but we get massive, massive results. Glenunga versus Golden Grove is the first game we'll jump into. Glenunga 17-10, 112. Golden Grove 10-8, 68. It was 4-3 to 1-1, 9-5 to 4-1, and then 15-8 to 6-5. So in the third quarter, that was where they really started to break that game open. Glenunga's third term got the win against Golden Grove in a shocking result. Davis, Wonky, and Opperman were vital up forward, while Smith was a general at the back. Pittman can hold his head very, very high as well. It was halftime, very interesting point here. Halftime, 34 points and looked in cruise control, but with the margin at 19, James Tragarkas gave us our Bianco magic moment and kicked a goal that kick-started the charge towards a 9-goal three-quarter time lead. From there, the margin never went back behind 5 goals, and the Rams won at a canter. A bit of a shocking result. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, definitely didn't expect that from Golden Grove. Coming into the game with a bit of good form, having a good win against Broadview a couple of weeks ago. And then, it was definitely a very shocking result. Pascoe can hold his head high. He kicked 4 goals. As for Glenunga, 10 individual goal kickers for Glenunga. So it's good to see that their offense is sort of getting back to where it was. And considering they've got a couple of big injuries with, I think, Prosser didn't play yesterday, and obviously McMahon a few weeks ago sadly did his Achilles, so he's going to be out for most of the season. So that's a couple of big holes that they need to fill up forward. But it was, positive for them to have 17 goals on the board.
Yeah, Abe Davis, top of the goal-kicking list along with Opperman and Wonky. All 3 of them kicked 3 goals. 3's coming out a lot there. But Davis, with his 3, has he found a new position up forward, do you think?
I think he has, yep.
Yeah, there we go. And Smith also ended up with 2, DeSera, Michaelini, Parsons, Thompson, Tragarkas and West all on the goal-kicking board as well. For Golden Grove, you mentioned the man, Lockie Pascoe, 9 in the second half last week, 4 across the game last time out, Verity with 2, Cavallaro, Collins, Dodd and Slater. For the players that don't appear in the votes, Charlie Pridham, Thomas Carlo Vasitis, Jesse Temi, Thomas Michaelini and James Tragarkas. And for Golden Grove, Aidan Thatcher, Jake Pittman, as he always does, played a really, really good game. And Lockie Pascoe as well. The awards, best stunts, that's Belgravia, Archies and the Gully. Zach Smith, the Bianco magic moment was James Tragarkas, and the Moseley best team man was Thomas Michaelini. Do you want to give us the votes, please, Jack?
Zach Smith with the 3, Jesse Temi with the 2, and Nick Wonky with the 1. So all Glenunga taking home the votes.
Prince Alfred versus Port District, that was our next game. Prince Alfred 8-4-52 to Port District 10-13-73. Jack, take us through this one.
Yeah, it was a ripping contest down there at Park 9. I was really excited to see what Prince Alfred would bring. The offense has been struggling, but they had a couple of good ins, so I was optimistic going in for Prince Alfred. And they were competitive for the majority of the game. Unfortunately, just lacked a bit of polish, and it was actually my first time seeing Port Districts live in the flesh, and gee, I loved what I saw. I love their ball movement. I love their clean skills all around the ground with Gaffney, Haynes, and the architects off the back flanks there, just orchestrating everything for Port Districts. But it was the second quarter where the game was really separated. It was Port Districts 5 goals to 1, taking in a 29-point halftime lead. And Prince Alfred, they rallied late in the third, got it to 12 points, and Coach Ned McHenry right on the 3-quarter time siren was really giving the boys a rev up and trying to get them going for that last quarter. But unfortunately, it was just a little bit too far of a bridge to cover. And Port Districts held on, winning by 21 points in the end.
There you go, sounded like it was a great game of footy. There was a Jag Meatworks goal of the week. Have a look at this from Sam Gray. This was some kind of snap.
From Port District's goal.
Out of the Thevenard Footy Factory there, Dom Denton, 3-time Mal medalist in the Western Air. Sam Gray, something out of nothing! Sensational, Sam.
Goal kickers for PAC, Oliver McInnes with 3, Ned McHenry ended up with 2, Patrick Gatenbury with 1, and Sebastian Quaney ended up with 1 as well. For Port District, it was Thomas Carter 2, Sam Gray 2, including that amazing snap, Alex Steinoff, Jack Ferns, Joseph Haynes, Scott Lysett, Jason Niskahus and Matthew Rose as well. Best players outside the votes, PAC Tom Bromley, Patrick Singleton, Hayden Jolly, Thomas Seals and Jordan Neal. For Port District, it was Cooper Gaffney. He always somehow ends up in the best players. I'm sure Tommy Javor had something to do with that. Cooper Gaffney, Joey Haynes, Oscar Kilpatrick and Matthew Rose as well. The votes, please, Jack.
The votes, Tommy Carter took home the 3 votes. His run and carry was excellent on the wings and through the half-forward line. He also ended up with 2 goals. Scotty Lysett in the ruck, just dominant all day, 2 votes. And Benny Gould, he was patrolling that outer wing beautifully with a raking left boot. He took home the 1 vote.
Our next game saw PNU taking on Broadview, and finally, someone had to win this game. We finally got a winner for Payne and Norwood Union. They won 12-17-89 to Broadview's 5-8-38. They did it pretty successfully. It was won pretty much from the bat. They kicked the first 8 goals of the game, 4-1 to 0-4, and then 8-3 to 1-5 at halftime before 10-11. Played at 3-6 at 3/4 time. The game basically done after they'd kicked those 8 goals. That was in their 30th anniversary game, Payneham Norwood Union. They won in the end by 51 points. Harrison Viney, 4 goals inside the first 8 goals of the game. Payneham were able to string passages of play together, and Broadview were missing targets. That's where the game was won. Thoughts on the game that you saw there?
Yeah, as you said earlier, Harrison Viney kicked the first 4 and got Payneham Norwood Union off to an absolute flyer. And it was good to see the big guns finally all firing on all cylinders on the same day for Payneham Norwood Union. Wagner kicked 3, he got best on ground. And Houston and Nunn also in the best players for Payneham. And Broadview, O'Leary, Langley, Hill, Beard, they were all in the best for Broadview, and they can hold their heads high.
Yeah, it was a great game of footy from a Payneham Norwood Union perspective. The votes for that one you mentioned already, 3 for Tommy Wagner, 2 for Matty Nunn, and 1 for Mackenzie Bauer. Ross Trevor took on Sacred Heart in another one of our excellent BTR Excavation Division 1 games. It was a pretty comfortable win in the end. Rocks by 28 points. On past players, volunteer and official day on the big ground, it was in the 3rd quarter when Rocks went 4 goals to Shock's 3 behinds and won the game. Shock had 3 goals to when the margin got to 40, but in the 4th, they were able to steady as well and got the Chocolates in the end by 28 points. Your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, it was a really interesting game of footy. Just a side note here, I tipped Rocks to win and cause a big upset there against Sacred Heart.
You're not the only one at the desk that did that.
Oh, yeah. Sensational. Go us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sacred Heart getting their first loss of the season there by Ross Trevor, and what was a really entertaining game. It was interesting to see that Rocks scored mainly on transition. As we know, Sacred Heart have an extremely rigid defence, so it was good to see that Rocks making the most of their opportunities, kicking 11 goals, 9. And Finn Wanklin, gee, he's an absolute revelation. He won the Best Young Player Award for Rocks last year, and he's come into Div 1, taking everything in his stride. He ended up with 4 snags.
Yeah, 4 goals for him, 2 for Shoot, 2 for Trampford, Dawson, Lanzoni and McCormack all ended up with 2. Meanwhile, for Shock, it was Colotto with 2, Caruco with 2, and Simons ended up with 2 as well. A couple of yellow cards dished out in this game as well. Tranfer ended up with 1, and then Gluyas on Tranfer, which resulted in a Rocks goal. So just a little bit of ill discipline there for the yellow cards. A little bit of across from the other grades as well. So Sacred Heart came into this game not only undefeated in the A's, but undefeated in the A, B, C's and D's. C's and B's both won, but the D's and A's both lost. So now they sit 26-2 on the season across 4 divisions. Not a bad little effort.
That's a good spot to be in as a club for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The best that didn't appear in the votes, James Wharton and Damien Stepic for Rocks. For Shock, Zachary Sanderson, Bradley Noble, Alex Colotto, Bo McRae and Bradley Agnew. But the Player of the Year votes, please.
Connor Butcher takes home the 3 votes. Darcy Best takes home 2 votes. Lots of intercepting through the defence. And Finn Wanklin, as I mentioned, 4 goals. Lots of work around the ground, takes home the 1 vote.
Well, our next game saw an absolute heart-stopper up north. Salisbury North versus St. Peter's. Salisbury North 11-14-80 to Spock's 12-7-79. It was a goal after the siren from Matthew Sharp. Have a look at this. It was an absolute Jags meatwork goal of the week.
Pops out the back. They need the pressure on. Great work at ground level. I tell you what, did they get the bounce? Unbelievable goal here by Todd Pearce. So ball thrown up. Russo goes the old swipe. Beautiful punch. Goes towards, Wagner, but Bedford up to the occasion. They go out wide. Clever kick. Couldn't hold on there, Nick Michaels. He's back for a second lick of the ice cream. He's held up. That's holding the ball in my book. Has to be. So great tackle in the end by Fensom. Needs to get the ball on. Move it on at all costs. Long kick down the line. They need a mark. He's taken it. Got to get it on. Clever kick there by Pearce. Lovely mark. Could this be it? Tell you what, Matty Sharp kicked the first goal of the game. Kenny kicked the last. 10 seconds is the call. We said it would go to the death, and it certainly has. What an unbelievable game we've witnessed this afternoon at the Salisbury North Oval. Childhood dream. Matty Sharp with the childhood dream. Kick after the siren shot. We're right behind it here. Deliberate approach. Needs a goal to win. On the siren. He's slotted it. Game over. Salisbury North. Tell you what, that's as inspirational as you'll see in the Adelaide Footy League this year. What a come from behind victory by Salisbury North.
Watching that back, we've just seen the final 2 minutes worth of footage. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's heart-stopping, as you said. Just, yeah, so good. And I actually saw the captain, Jordan O'Brien, last night, and he was over the moon with that result. He was absolutely stoked.
Yeah, no, and Geordie, his heart beats for Salisbury North, so he would have been delighted. Salisbury North's midfield was a massive part of the victory in the second half. St. Peter's were dominating up until halftime, but it was the Hawks on-ball brigade that lifted. It was neck and neck, and then obviously the Matty Sharp winner on the siren, basically. The best players, Scott Bedford managed to kick 3 goals in the second quarter for St. Peter's when they were having their moments. Henry Nelligan, Ty Bedford, Henry Stewart, Rattray and Tom Rundle were all in the best as well. For Salisbury North, Jordan O'Brien, Jacob Russo, Dominic Costanzo, Cooper Wilson and Dion Lawler as well had really, really great efforts for the eventual winners. Goal kickers, Matthew Sharp had 3, so not only did he kick the match winner, ended up with a bag of 3 as well. Not a bad day at the office.
Proved to be the difference in the end.
Yeah, he certainly was. Dominic Costanzo, Luke Hable, Anthony Halabat, Jordan O'Brien, Todd Pearce, Tyson Richards, Jacob Russo and Jake Wagner also troubled the scorers. Meanwhile, for St. Peter's, Nick Michaels had 3. Fergus Carruthers, Ed Colley, Lachie de Cesare, Benjamin Ianello, Jesse McKinnon and Johnny Reid. Lots of players ending up in the best. I don't know how they managed to pick votes, but they did. And here they are, please.
Jordan O'Brien took home the thongs with the 3 votes. Malachi Carruthers, 2 votes. Luke Hable with 1.
Thanks, Jack. And having a look at the ladder as well, Port District, they've got 12 points. They've been absolutely flawless so far. 6 wins, 1 loss. Best defence in the league. What have you made of their season?
Yeah, they've been really good. It's been interesting to see that they've been winning in a lot of different ways. And speaking to Coach Josh Ramsey, he echoed that as well before the game. They had a good win against Broadview a few weeks ago, and then they've had a lot of tough contests the last few weeks, and they've still managed to get over the line.
Sacred Heart, finally they've got a loss, or maybe not finally for them, but finally for the rest of the league, they've ended up with a loss. Sacred Heart also 6-1, had a really, really good start. I quite like their midfield as well.
Their midfield's electric, and the way that they strangle teams and then get them on the counter attack is really impressive.
St. Peter's are sitting 5-2. They've got the 10 wins, along with Salisbury North are sitting 5-2 as well. They've got the #1 offense in the league, and thinking about it, that makes a lot of sense because their attacks are straight down the middle, and they really do use the football well going inside forward 50.
Yeah, they do. They're super electric, and the way that they move the footy from defence to offence is super fast, straight down the corridor. And then the thing that I love most is they're so diverse in their forward line. They've got a lot of blokes who can bob up and kick their 2 or 3, as you saw yesterday. Helabout, their leading goal kicker, was quiet, but Matthew Sharp pops up, kicks 3, and kicks 1 after the siren to win the game, and now they're sitting 4th.
And Ross Trevor as well, the second best defence. They round up the top 5. I'm going to ask you a question here a little bit without notice. Is this top 5 locked now that Golden Grove lost yesterday?
No.
No. Okay. So still plenty to play for. He's gone with no. Speaking of Golden Grove, they are in 6th. They find themselves at 3 and 4. Second best offense, however, 3rd worst defense. So something to just keep in mind there. Obviously, really good on the attack, really poor at the back though.
At the moment, yeah, hopefully they can shore things up after the bye.
Glenunga, are they back? It was the question we asked after they had that scintillating return to form for 2023 and 2024. They might be back. They'll be a team that will certainly be charging towards the 5. Prince Alfred, they may end up looking behind them rather, so they're looking in front of them with 2 and 5. Not one of my greatest predictions there. Payneham Norwood Union are 1 and 6. Well, I heard it was coming from you, so I figured I may as well just make fun of myself. Payneham Norwood Union, they're 1 and 6. They finally get a win. Can they find themselves out of the relegation zone? And Broadview yet to win 0 and 7. What do they need to change? I'll just ask the open-ended question here.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Broadview. They lost a couple of their key forwards from last year who kicked a large portion of their goals. I think it was like 80-odd goals or something. They lost over the summer. So that's their key area that they need to somehow fix. They found Ralph a few weeks ago who come into the Bs and kicked 5 coming into the A-grade team. He needs to fire. They need a few more other options down there to fire, and they need some forward connection for sure.
There you go. There's a pretty good synopsis from the doctor himself. Dr. Wizard is a football commentator. Is there anything you can't do, Jack?
I'm trying my best.
Moving on to not next week's games, after the Byes game. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to start at Park 9. Prince Alfred taking on Payneham. Who's your tip there?
PAC. I really liked what I saw on the weekend. They just need to find some connection going forward, and I think they can be a real force come the back end of the season as well. I think they can win a few games.
I'm gonna end up going against you here. I'm gonna tip Payneham Norwood Union. I think they're back now. They've got that win. I think they just needed the monkey off their back, and they've finally got that.
Alrighty.
St. Peter's versus Sacred Heart. That one's coming at us from Caterer Oval.
Spock.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think Sacred Heart maybe might just hit a little bit of a rough patch now, but it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. Obviously, that midfield's still so elite. Salisbury North are taking on Port District at Salisbury North Oval. This one for me is game of the round.
This has to be game of the round, yeah, for sure. Definitely echo that. My tip there is Salisbury North, and it was interesting just looking at Salisbury North's upcoming run. They played Spock yesterday, Port District's coming up, and then Sacred Heart. So the next 2 weeks now coming up for Salisbury North, absolutely crucial, and then we'll get a real guide of where they are.
Well, I'm really loved out at Salisbury North because of my record tipping with them. I'm gonna chip against them again, and I'm gonna go with Port District. I think they're gonna be too strong up at Salisbury North Oval. Broadview versus Glenunga at Broadview Oval. Surely you're tipping the Rams here.
Yeah, the Rams should get the job done, I think.
Yeah, but don't take Broadview lightly, because the team that does take them lightly will be beaten by them. Tommy Javor's said it week in, week out on this show, and I'm going to echo his thoughts there. Glenunga for mine, though, in that one. Ross Trevor versus Golden Grove, another great game of footy. That one's from Campbelltown Memorial Oval.
Expecting a response, a big response. Golden Grove need it, and I think they'll get the job done.
Ross Trevor for mine, they'll be too strong. It'll be a lot closer than the game against Glenunga last weekend, though. That's it from us on the BTR Excavation Division 1 wrap. We will see you after the June break.
Do you belong in a role that drives you? In a community that makes you proud? In a team that brings out your best? You belong in blue. Apply for a career with South Australia Police.
All right, let's talk women's footy. Round 7 has been one and done, and it's time to see how everything played out. We'll start with the first match between Payneham and Golden Grove. Now, coming into this round, this was 1st versus 8th on the ladder, and the result was pretty much what we expected, but Golden Grove absolutely put up a fight. The final score, Payneham 7-12-54 to Golden Grove 5-1-31, a 23-point win to Payneham. But not after a little bit of a scare for Payneham. Let's go through it. Payneham led by 3 points at quarter time, but a determined Golden Grove were actually up at half time by 2 points. Then Payneham, they got themselves into gear with a 3-goal third term, holding Golden Grove scoreless. And Payneham, they were able to finish off the game and win it by 23 points. But definitely a good showing by Golden Grove. For Payneham, their goals came from Kristen Gadecki with 2, Chloe Samuel with 2, Abby Claby, Georgia Mee, and Zoe Proud with 1 goal each. Chloe Samuel absolutely turned it on, best on ground for Payneham, and she is having an absolutely fabulous year for Payneham, one of their most consistent performers. For Golden Grove, their goals came from Denemy Sonneman with 2, Ruby Dunt, Hayley Hill, and Isla Lekonen with 1 goal each. Kate Lovell was their best player. Now, although it was a loss for Golden Grove, it was not a bad day whatsoever. They kicked their highest score for the year. They led for a period of the game against the top side. And now we definitely know for sure that their best footy can compete with the best. Hopefully this will give Golden Grove some confidence to go ahead from here and claim their first win in the coming rounds. Payneham, well, we know the story here. They're still undefeated. Everything is very much on track for them in their quest to go back-to-back in Division 1. You know, they still won this game. They put it away when they needed to. Maybe they were challenged for a little bit there, but we know what Paynham's like. They just get the job done. They're absolutely in a very good spot after round 7. Moving on to Henley versus Broadview, and well, that wild weather from Monday was still hanging around Henley because there was a tidal wave down at Shark Park where Henley won by 84 points over Broadview. After a huge 6-goal first term, the Sharks never looked back, kicking 15 goals for the match to Broadview's 2 goals. Final score, Henley 15-7-97, Broadview 2-1-13. How is the Sharks' accuracy as well? It was a real demolition job down at Henley, and they really bounced back from last week's loss. Now, we've got to talk about those 15 goals, and who else but Tegan Dunbar. 9 goals this week, her highest bag of goals for the season. Go off, Tegan. We know she can kick him, and then she's just reaching those heights yet again. Alicia Robrin also kicked 2 goals with Demi Bates, Eliza Cooper, Ellie Farrens and Shannon Murphy also involved in the goal kicking. For the Sharks, Steph Rayner was their best on. Sorry, Tegan, maybe if you'd kicked 10, you might have got best on. But Steph Rayner having an awesome season at the Sharks. Now, the Broadview goals came from Nikki Cullen and Kellis Jackson Martin. Their best on was Alana Doling. Broadview, unfortunately, a little bit of a rough day for them in a rough season. They just haven't been able to quite put it all together this year. It's probably best to just forget about this game, move on to the next round, and have a fresh start after the bye for the long weekend. Henley, a great result for them, massive confidence booster after dropping 2 in a row in close ones over the last few weeks. They are absolutely back with a bang into 3rd. They've got the best percentage in Division 1, which could become handy towards the end of the season. Now we've got Happy Valley versus Hectorville, and it was Hectorville 8-1-49 who defeated Happy Valley 5-5-35. A 14-point win to Hectorville at Happy Valley on Saturday Night Football. And it was a bit of an up and down affair. Hectorville started with a 4-goal first term to lead 25-6 at quarter time. But Happy Valley, well, we know they're going to fight back. They kicked themselves back into the game and were up by 2 at half time. But Hectorville, they came back, they found it again, got themselves up by 14 at 3/4 time and just held on to that margin to take it out. Now, it's worth noting that Happy Valley did have more scoring shots with 10 to Hectorville's 9, but the inaccuracy has unfortunately cost them. Now, Happy Valley, not really the result that they wanted with the loss, but they're still comfortable in 2nd spot on the ladder for now. It wasn't their night tonight, but they were very much in the game and maybe just a little bit of kicking practice at training. But I think they'll just enjoy the break, happy being 2nd, and just have a bit of a rest, come back for the second half of the season. For Hectorville, wow, that is a confidence-boosting win. They move themselves to 4 wins, 3 losses. You know, they'd obviously like to be in the top 4, but they're very close, not in a bad spot at all for the halfway point through the season. And they've got plenty of time to build and improve in the second half of the season. Now, our last game, Goodwood hosted Morphettville Park, and it was a Morphies victory over the Saints. Morphettville Park 4-8-32 to Goodwood, 2 goals straight. A 20-point win to the Roos. Now, we knew this match was going to say something about who was serious about the top four, and it's Morphies who said, yes, we absolutely are. And the Roos, well, they had another bit of an inaccurate day, so they could have put this one to bed by a little bit more, but it's just job done for Morphettville Park. They held the Saints scoreless in the first term and held them to just 2 goals for the match. Now, they slowed down a little bit in the second half, only scoring 2 points but after half-time. But again, just getting the job done. And Morphettville Park, we know they feel like the real deal for me in 4th spot, just by percentage, but they're just getting win after win that they need. And we know that they can impact come finals. They just need to finish in that top 4 spot. For the Saints, a bit of a disappointing loss. They weren't able to impact on the scoreboard. They've got a little bit of work to do to stay in contention with the top 4. So it'll be interesting to see how Goodwood, change it up coming into the second half of the season. So we will now, of course, have all teams enjoying the bye for the long weekend. We've all played each other and now we're going to come back and start again. So after the break in round 8, we're going to have Happy Valley versus Henley. That is going to be a huge clash, 2nd versus 3rd. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Payneham versus Morphies, again, 1 versus 4, so the top 4 all playing each other. That is a great round. Then Golden Grove versus Broadview, 8th versus 7th, and Hectorville versus Goodwood, 5th and 6th. So we've got a real top 4 all playing each other, bottom 4 all playing each other. Now, I think this is really going to set us up for the second half of the season. Well, that's all for now, but look out for our mid-season review, which is coming soon. We're going to go through what's happening on the ladder, everyone's form at the halfway point in the season, and how we think things might play out in the second half of the year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
It is now time for the Farmers Leap Coach of the Week. It's the first season in charge at Greenacres for Jack Brink, and Jack Banwell, as the division specialist, has picked him out. He's currently got the highest scoring team in the competition. They are undefeated and tied at the top with Marion. He's having an absolutely fantastic season, Jack Brink. Clearly, he's adjusted to the culture at Greenacres. He'll be delighted with this award, and he should be delighted with the season they're having so far as well. A massive congratulations, Jack, and we look forward to getting out to Greenacres this weekend to have a bit of a chat. G'day everybody and welcome here to the Division 5 wrap brought to you by 5AA. My name is Lachie Gould and I'm joined by Jack Banwell. Jack, how are you, mate?
Yeah, excellent, Lachie. Div 5 is certainly shaping up to be an exciting one.
Yeah, let's crack into it. Eastern Park, 9-11-65 at Salisbury, 16-10-106.
This is probably the upset of the round, I think. Absolutely huge upset down there at Eastern Park as well. It's a tough place to go, and Salisbury have gone there quite a few times over the years, and probably not getting as many wins as they would like down there, but it's a super tough place to go. But it was all set up with a 7-goal opening quarter for the Magpies to set up the 41-point win down there.
Yeah, it was a great result there for the Maggies. Trinity 6-14-50 against Gazer 9-4-58.
Yeah, Gazer winning another close one, so they've won a few close ones now, and they're proving to be really difficult to play against. I think they have the second best defence in the comp. Not sitting as far up the ladder as they would like. We'll get to that shortly, but yeah, they're certainly proving to be very hard to play against, and Toss still only with the 1 win at the moment.
Pulteney 9-18-72 against Paracas 10-14-74.
Another nail biter in Division 5, so there's certainly been a fair few of those. 2-point winners there were Paraka away from home too, so that's a really good win there. That's 3 wins by under a goal for Paraka, and inaccuracy potentially costing Pulteney, and they also were missing their key goal kicker there, Joel Aish, who's accounted for 28 of their goals this season, so that's a big loss and potentially could be the difference in the 2-point loss there.
2 clubs on opposite ends of the ladder coming into this one. Marion 13-11-89, Woodville South 8-6-54.
Yeah, super interesting one, and I think the 35-point margin there, probably doesn't reflect the actual tail of the tape there. It was very tight until half-time, 3 points to the margin before 7 goals to 2 for Marion, just flexing their muscle as they have done all season on top of the ladder, getting the job done there by 6 goals. So unfortunately for Woody South, they're still winless, but they've been in a lot of games, and hopefully for their sake they can get a few wins and hopefully avoid relegation.
Greenacres were the next team up as well, and they had a big win up against Portland. 25 goals, 11 behinds, 161. Portland were 13-12-90.
High scoring match, 250 points for the whole match. That's incredible. And yeah, super impressive for Greenacres as well, with the absence of Steve Clark, who's been an absolute revelation patrolling the half-forward line for Greenacres. He's well over 30 goals for the year. He actually didn't play in that game. So who steps up? His brother. He kicks 8. Ryan Clark, lazy 8 goals. So yeah, 71-point win. Probably doesn't reflect the game itself as well. Like Portland, they're a very competitive team as well. But I think Greenacres just kicked away late there.
Take us through the ladder after the round 7 results, please.
Some things have happened since the last time I was on. I think I was on after round 3, and there was 3 teams that are undefeated. And since then, one of those teams that was undefeated, Eastern Park, they're on a 4-game slide, so that's unfortunate for them. They're currently sitting 6th. But I'll go from the top. Marion and Greenacres both undefeated, 7 wins, 0 losses, with a very healthy percentage for both those teams. Paraka, they're just chipping away, winning. Maybe they're winning ugly, I'm not too sure. But yeah, they're 5 wins, 2 losses, with a really good defence, proving they're really tough to play against. And then it's the start of the Div 5 ladder logjam, where we've got 5 teams on 3 wins each. So we'll go Pulteney, 3 wins, 4 losses, sitting in 4th. They've only had 1 result more than 20 points, the difference, whether that's winning or losing for Pulteney. So they're in a lot of games. Eastern Park, as I said, 3 wins, 4 losses, with the 3rd best offence, but that has fallen away over the last 4 weeks, and that's probably part of the reason why they've slid to 4 defeats in a row. Gazer, 3 wins, 4 losses, really strong defence. They've lost a couple by a kick, so they could well be higher on the ladder as well. Salisbury, 3 wins, 4 losses. Their best has shown to be enough, playing great footy in their 3 wins. Camaraderie, buy-in and belief to stay up is there. And who knows, maybe they can play finals. If they keep getting some results like that down at Eastern Park, the sky could potentially be the limit for my former club. And Portland, 3 wins, 4 losses. Their offence is humming, and they're actually my smoky to get into the 5. Here's a little fun fact here, Lachie. Portland, they're playing their first 9 games away from home due to their oval getting a little bit of a revamp. I think it's the irrigation. So they've played the first 9 away, and they're playing the remaining 9 at home on the back 9. So hopefully they can get another couple of wins away from home to start the season, and then come home with a wet sail coming into finals.
Yeah, well, it might just be the way to go. Start away, see how you stack up, and then end up coming home with a bit of a wet sail, as you just said.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the remaining 2 sides as well on the ladder. Trinity, 1 win, 6 losses there. They're in 9th. A bit of an injury crisis down at Trinity from all reports. About 10 to 11 injuries to A-grade squad members. So hopefully they can get a couple back after the bye that we have this weekend, and they can make a late run. But hopefully they haven't left it too late for their sake, because they're currently 2 games out of the relegation zone. So that could be maybe a bridge too far, but we'll wait and see. And unfortunately for Woody South, they're still winless, 0 wins, 7 losses. But they've been in a lot of games to start the year. I think they lost 2 or 3 by close to a kick or maybe 2 goals. So they're certainly competitive, and we saw that on the weekend. They were 3 points in it against Marion, the ladder leaders, and unfortunately fell away. Yeah, so they definitely need a win, or relegation is certainly looming. And I'll just give a quick shout out to a few blokes down at Woody South. Fraser Gehrig, Brian Gill, Liam Wood, they've all been in the best players 6 times out of the 7 games this season. So they need a few more to come with those 3 that are leading the charge down there to hopefully see them out of relegation. But it does just look unlikely at the moment.
That's not the Fraser Gehrig, is it?
It's not the Fraser Gehrig. I think the spelling is slightly different, but yeah, same pronunciation. The G-Train, I think they still call him down there at Woody.
There you go. I'm going to be mean, and I know you'll probably do it when you do your review next week, but promoted and the 2 teams that go up and 2 teams that go down.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a 2-horse race now. Paraka are playing really good footy as well, and then as I said, there's the logjam. But Marion and Greenacres, I think, are the standouts. And the relegation, it's really tough to call because speaking to some people at Trinity, they're really confident that they can stay up and get some wins in the back 9. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Unfortunately, I do think Woody South are going to go down. That gap's just probably a bit too far now. And I honestly cannot tip who will go down for that other relegation spot.
I'm not letting you sit on the fence.
All right. This is so tough. I'm going to upset someone. Trinity, too far to come back from. They're going to have to win some in their last 11 games, I think it is, in the back end of the season.
Let's move on to round 8 then. Trinity versus Pulteney. Who wins that one?
Yeah, we've got some ripping contests coming up in round 8. Trinity, Pulteney. I think Trinity do get a win at home. It's a tough place to go down there at Gawler.
Gazer versus Portland.
Gazer.
Eastern Park against Paraka.
Eastern Park respond. Have to.
Woody South up against Salisbury.
Salisbury, after that really good win away at Eastern Park, they'll take more confidence going away from home. I think they can win.
There you go. You're tipping the former boys, making sure you keep the relationship good.
Yep.
And this is a massive clash. Greenacres against Marion. Much like in Division 1 when we had Payneham against Broadview last week, someone's got to lose here.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be an absolute ripping contest. It's also a 2023 Division 6 Grand Final rematch. Marion were the red-hot favourites going into that one, and Greenacres did cause a massive upset in that one, and there's a little bit of spite between the two teams playing against each other in the last couple of years. But speaking to both coaches as well during the week, there's a great amount of respect for what both teams are doing down there at their respective clubs. And I asked them a question each. I said, what's going to be the key to win? And they both gave me a simple answer. They said, Greenacres said, stop Zach Angel. And Marion said, stop Stephen Clark. So there's some key players there to stop. And also who can execute more in getting the footy from in to out and stopping both their run and carry. With all of that, Marion away from home, I think they're going to get some revenge for the grand final a couple of years ago.
And just to give Greenacres some love, I'll tip Greenacres for no other reason other than you've tipped Marion.
Sounds great.
All right, there we go. That is the Division 5 wrap brought to you by 5AA. We'll see you soon for some more Between the Posts. Welcome everybody to What Caught Our Eye. Brought to you by O'Neill Sportswear. It's been a big weekend of Division 1 through to Division 7. We're going to start with Div 7. Jack Banwell, I'm going to throw to you.
Elizabeth remain undefeated after their dismal season in 2024. Are they talking flags in 2025, Lachie?
Well, interesting fact about Elizabeth. So they won Coach of the Week.
Yep.
And they said, we don't want media attention on us, so we're going to be very quiet about Elizabeth.
I'm pumping them up.
You're going to pump them up.
They're talking flags down there at Gunner Park, I reckon.
Darryl is not going to be happy when he hears about this.
Sorry, Daz.
I had something very similar written, actually. Hackham's big win as Elizabeth, and as with Elizabeth and Brammer Lodge, Smithfield are in real trouble because Hackham, without the coaching of Blake Derra, which we saw obviously across the desk last week, we broke that story exclusively. Smithfield weren't able to win, and we would have thought that game would be a lot closer than the 50-point margin it was at. Across to Div 6, please, Mr. Banwell.
Div 6, noticing a logjam on the ladder, 3rd all the way through to 7th, has 5 teams with 4 wins. Ingle Farm, Para Hills, Blackfriars, Houghton and St Paul's.
Yeah, I had Fitzroy, Pants, Para Hills, Ingle Farm and Rosewater also had massive wins. West Croydon may never win again. They scored 2 goals, 3-15. It's not the only time they have been absolutely annihilated this season.
That's tough going down there at West Croydon, unfortunately.
But, hopefully the Hawks will get their flight back. Division 5, please.
How long did you have that brewing, by the way, West Croydon, their Hawks? They're flying back.
Oh, well.
How long did you have that?
Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
I've probably used it before.
Division 5, massive upset at Eastern Park with Salisbury getting the job done there by 41 points. High scoring contest at the jail between Greenacres and Portland, 161-90. So that's 250 points in the one game there, Lachie.
Yeah, massive, massive contest. Of course, Marion and Greenacres yet to lose. Paraka versus Pulteney. Paraka escaped with a 2-point win, which put them up to third on the ladder. Marion have a 343 points conceded across the entire year as well, according to the ladder. And Gazer are 6th on the ladder, but next best with 491. So that defence for the Rams is really holding up.
Very strong down there at Marion.
Division 4, if you wouldn't mind.
Division 4, 3rd versus 4th, Plympton versus Colonel Light Gardens. Wasn't the matchup you would expect, with Plympton winning by a whopping 120 points and Luke Paparella kicking a lazy 7.
Yeah, not a bad day out. A lazy bag of 7. I've got no wins for Smosh West Lakes, and it's tight at the top of the table between Walkerville, Morford Park, Plympton, Colonel Light Gardens, and Morfordville Park won the top of the table clash against Walkerville. We had a chat with Ryan Madden during the week. He won Coach of the Week for Farmers Leap, and let me tell you, he knew that game was going to be tough. He was under no illusions, and in the end, Morford Park, they bounced away with that one.
They certainly did. Heading over to Div 3, Foss Camden are responding really well to relegation from Div 2 last year, sitting top in Division 3 as it currently stands.
Yeah, able to beat Edwardstown as well. Speaking of teams that are hopeful, Hope Valley, namely, will not be very hopeful at the minute. They can't get close to anyone in their division, and Westminster just got past Seaton as well. Over to Division 2, please, Jack.
Another relegated team responding well to relegation, Teacher Gully. They got relegated from Division 1 last year, as everyone's probably aware of. They're currently sitting 2nd, just behind Athelston, who are absolutely flying in Division 2 at the moment.
Yeah, I expect to see the Ruggies up in Division 1. Athelston got past Goodwood Saints. Goodwood Saints, another really good team in Division 2. And they, as you mentioned, are still undefeated. Division 1, please.
Division 1, the 2 promoted teams, Salisbury North and Ross Trevor. 2 games clear in the 5. Could we see 2 teams playing finals again in Division 1 that got promoted like we did last season there, Lachie?
For my Division 1 thoughts, you're going to have to tune into the Division 1 wrap. That's in the episode as well, right here on Between the Posts. G'day everybody, welcome here to the Born to Build Mark of the Week. We've got a massive selection here to choose from. But the other thing is as well, Mark of the Year, he wins a 3-night stay in Broome thanks to Moonlight Bay Suites by Kimberley Resorts. It's a massive prize if you can get Mark of the Year, but enjoy these Marks of the Weeks. G'day everybody, welcome back to Goals of the Week. These are brought to you by Born to Build. You've got a massive selection this week to enjoy, so sit back and relax.
Deliberate approach. Needs a goal to win. On the siren. He's slotted it. Game over! Salisbury North! He's to go to win! On the siren! He's slaughtered it! Game over! Salisbury North!
Out of the Thevenard Footy Factory there, Dom Denton, 3-time Mal medalist in the Western Air. Sam Gray, something out of nothing! Factory there, Dom Denton, 3-time Mal medalist in the Western Air. Sam Gray, something out of nothing!
G'day everybody, welcome to The Last Word. This is brought to you by Sapol. My name is Lachie and I've been joined by Jack Banwell. Jack, it's been a great show, hasn't it?
It's been very intriguing. A lot's happening in the Adelaide Footy League and can't wait for the week off next week.
Yeah, it's going to be great to rest and recover, not only for all the players, but for us as well. What I will do is we will stop and we will have a look at milestones, births and marriages as well. So we've got Jack McDermott from Morphettville Park. He played his 200th game, so massive congratulations to him in Division 4. And you've got a lad from Division 5 running around.
Yeah, congratulations. Lachie Clark goes by a wedge down at Marion Footy Club. He played his 150th on the weekend. So congratulations to both of you fellas.
That's what you get for being the Division 5 specialist. You make sure he gets your shout out for your successes and your milestones as well. A massive thank you to all of our sponsors as well. And I do want to highlight High Five e-bikes because I tell you what, massive prize on offer. $5,000 e-bike for the leader of the votes. We don't know who's leading the votes at the minute. Our producer Darcy won't tell us. He's got the list. He's the one that knows. Don't come bug us. But the other thing is as well, anyone that gets involved with the show goes in the running to win the $5,000 e-bike for the fan as well. So there's 2 e-bikes, one for the player, and you have to be good at footy to win that one. Unfortunately, that's not us.
Yep.
But one for the fans. We can't win that one either. Neither can anyone we know. But one of you watching out there will get to win the $5,000 e-bike. And I can tell you, having ridden on one, they're pretty fun. I
reckon you could class as a fan. I reckon, Lachie, seeing you get on those e-bikes on the socials, I reckon you can definitely win one.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, hey, look, Jamal, if you're watching up there, mate, I'm happy to take an e-bike off your hands any old time. But that brings us to the end of the show. A massive thank you for you guys for tuning in. I'm going to throw across to Jack for the outro.
See you after the bye for more Between the Posts.